Listen closely, because the pain you've tried to swallow your whole life is about to name itself. Imagine standing in the hallway of your childhood home, fingertips grazing the framed photos on the wall, tiny snapshots of birthdays. Scraped. Knees, shared secrets. Now picture realizing that the hand once clasped in yours has quietly sharpened its nails, leaving wounds no stranger could ever reach. How do you heal when the cut was never supposed to come? From our first breath, we're taught the gospel of blood. Family is forever. Siblings are your built-in best friends. Home is the safest shelter. Yet, what happens when that sanctuary becomes a battlefield? When the guardian at your side turns into the unseen archer behind you? That betrayal slices deeper than any outside attack, precisely because it violates the sacred promise of kinship. Sibling betrayal is a whispering ache. You don't broadcast it, you barely admit it. You bury it beneath forced smiles at holiday dinners, rationalize it with, they didn't mean it, excuse it because that's just family. We're trained to endure and forgive without limit, to keep peace even when the price tag is our dignity. But Stoic philosophy offers another root one of clear-eyed strength. It doesn't preach hatred or revenge. It urges us to scrape away illusions and stand in unvarnished truth. Stoicism isn't storming out in rage. It's guarding your inner peace with reason. It recognizes that even a sibling can cross a line that must never be redrawn. As Epictetus reminds us, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Sometimes reaction means not reconciliation, but removal. So this video isn't about bitterness. It's about clarity. We will illuminate 7 specific betrayals that demand zero tolerance, not because you're cruel, but because loving yourself means refusing to bleed for hands that keep cutting you. These are not isolated mistakes. They're corrosive patterns that warp self-worth, relationships, and future choices. Face them or they will keep defining you. Betrayal 1. Undermining you behind closed doors. Sometimes treachery doesn't thunder. It drips. No yelling, no slammed doors, just hushed. Conversations that echo for years. One of the cruelest blows occurs when a sibling smiles beside you at the dinner table, nods enthusiastically at your dreams, and then quietly poisons the well when you're not there to defend yourself. They twist your words, spotlight your failures, plant doubts in the minds of those whose opinions sculpt your life. The damage is maddeningly invisible. You can't prove it, yet you feel its icy fingerprints. Suddenly your parents question your every decision, second-guess your worth, and you wonder, where did this chill come from? Then, one afternoon, phrase you never uttered slips from their lips. A story only your sibling could have crafted. Trust. The bedrock of family fractures. Childhood taught you that no matter how harsh the world becomes, your sibling stands as your ally. Realizing they've chosen secret sabotage over open competition is like discovering the lock on your safe was forged by the thief himself. A cautionary tale? Consider Chris, a man whose life revolved around earning his father's elusive approval. He worked overtime, sacrificed weekends, carried the family's financial weight still. Nothing pleased his dad. Puzzled and weary, Chris learned the hidden reason. His younger brother, who hailed him as role model in public, had confided to their father that Chris was reckless with money, unfit to handle the family business, and prone to impulsive decisions. In a single revelation, years of tension crystallized. The judgmental stares, the lingering silences, the unexplained distance, all traced back to whispers Chris never heard. Marcus Aurelius spoke truth when he wrote, "The tongue of a traitor is sharper than any sword." Chris finally grasped that the blade cutting him wasn't forged by enemies. It was handed to him by blood. Why this betrayal matters when someone Entrusted with your childhood secrets recasts you as a villain. The wound reshapes your self-image. You start doubting your own competence, your own memories. You question whether the love you believed in ever existed. That erosion can infect every friendship, partnership, and ambition that follows, unless you shine stoic light on the truth and declare. This line is final dot, so ask yourself, is the silence in my family comforting, or is it concealing? If your heart answers the latter, remember Stoicism gives you permission to step back, to establish a boundary as firm as marble, even if that boundary stands between you and a sibling. Stay with us. 6 more betrayals await exposure, each one a hidden dagger you deserve to see coming. Because once you spot the blade, you'll never let it sink in again. Daisy's disappearing voice, and sometimes the rigging begins from childhood. Daisy was the oldest in a family of 5, born with a disability that made everyday movement difficult. She didn't ask to be the responsible one, but she became it. She protected her siblings from their parents' fights. She helped with homework when she could barely hold a pencil. She gave and gave, not because she was asked, but because it was expected. As the years passed, the others moved on with their lives. But Daisy stayed the dependable one, the quiet one, the one whose own dreams were folded into corners so everyone else could shine. When she finally spoke up, needing rest, needing space, her siblings said she was being dramatic. They accused her of changing, but the truth is, Daisy wasn't changing. She was finally telling the truth, and the hardest part, they weren't ready to hear it. Here's the stoic truth. You are not here to be the favorite. You are here to be free. You can't control how someone else presents you, but you can choose not to play their game. You can walk in truth, speak with calm clarity. Let your consistency build your reputation, not their curated performance. Let them chase favor. You chase freedom. A quiet truth lingers from our last lesson. Once you expose the tongue that cuts behind closed doors, you can never pretend the room is silent again. With that in mind, let's keep moving, because betrayal rarely arrives alone. Dagger. Words leave invisible scars. A single sentence whispered in the dark can stain reputations, split families, and sentence you to decades of misunderstanding. When that sentence is spoken by a sibling, the brand is personal seared into the very story of who you are. Remember this. If someone smiles in your face, yet slips a blade between your shoulders the moment you turn, you owe them nothing. Nothing. Family is a title, not a free pass. Trust must be earned. It is never inherited. Remaining silent in the face of deceit isn't loyalty. It's self-betrayal. Guard your name, guard your truth, and above all, guard your peace. No relationship is worth trading your self-respect. Forgiveness, too, has boundaries. Sometimes the door must close softly, firmly, so you can finally breathe without poison in the air. But what if the injury isn't a back alley rumor? What if it hides in plain sight, inside their reaction to your triumphs? What if the cut is not silence, but a slow resentment masked as advice? Betrayal too, sabotaging your success. Victory should echo with shared applause, especially within a family. One sibling rises. The others feel pride, inspiration, a stronger bond. Should. Yet insecurity can warp applause into passive-aggressive competition. One of the most painful betrayals is facing a brother or sister who cannot stand to see you win. Instead of clapping, they compete. Instead of encouraging, they criticize and they weaponize it with soft jabs. You just got lucky. Don't let it change you. So, you think you're better now? Each phrase sounds casual, but the subtext screams, your growth threatens me. This treachery is wrapped in jokes, sarcasm, barely audible scoffs. The message, though, is unmistakable. shine only as brightly as my comfort zone allows. Your light reveals their stagnation, so they tug you back not to steady you, but to anchor you at their level. A living example, take Amanda. Years of late nights and unseen grit finally vaulted her into a leadership role. Friends burst with congratulations. Her parents beamed. But her older sister offered only a thin smile. Just don't let it get to your head. Behind Amanda's back, that same sister whispered to relatives that Amanda was becoming arrogant, obsessed with money. Ironically, this was the sister who had borrowed cash from Amanda more than once now, casting success as something shameful. See, the betrayal isn't about dollars or titles. It's about emotional security. A sibling who feels small can't celebrate anyone else's bigness. Your breakthrough tosses a spotlight on their unopened doorways, and instead of stepping through their own, they try to dim yours. Stoic wisdom slices to the heart if others can't celebrate your ascent. Their company won't help you rise. Love that is real does not flinch at your elevation. It ascends beside you. The answer isn't a shouting match. Keep growing, keep walking. Let their bitterness fade into background static. You never apologize for becoming the version of yourself destiny sketched from the start. Betrayal 3. Using shared history as leveraged childhood memories should be sacred. Whispered secrets under blanket forts. First victories on rusted bicycles. Laughter echoing in cramped bedrooms. Yet some siblings twist that golden thread into a choke chain. They resurrect every misstep you made, not to guide you upward, but to pin you down. Remember when you failed that exam? Remember when you begged Dad for help? Each reminder isn't a bridge. It's a cage, constructed from the very moments that once united you. They weaponize the past to keep you small, to remind you who you really are, hoping you'll forget how far you've traveled beyond those early stumbles. Ask yourself, are these memories shared in warmth or sharpened into shackles? We've unmasked 2 new daggers: resentment toward your success and manipulation of your shared past. 5 more blades remain hidden, each one waiting to be named, so it can never wound you again. Stay with me, and let's keep the armor of clarity firmly in place. A quick reminder from our last step: shedding the weight of shared history is non-negotiable. No one has the right to chain your present to an outdated version of you. Now let's press forward, because those who fail to control you in private often double down in public. Weaponizing the past, there's a special sting. When yesterday's mistakes are paraded to shame you into obedience today. Because the accuser is family. Hesitation creeps in. Shouldn't I feel guilty? Don't I owe them? No, you owe yourself. You owe yourself freedom from the past you've already outgrown. Duck this betrayal. Where's the face of emotional blackmail? Remember when I covered for you? If I told Mom what really happened? Your sibling brandishes the past like a leash, yanking you back each time you stride ahead. Worst of all, they do it with a smile. Just a memory, just a joke. Just family stuff. But jokes that tighten around your throat are no jokes at all. They're control tactics. David's older brother knew every detail of his lean years, sleeping on floors, juggling overdue bills. Once David became financially successful, the brother's refrain never changed. Remember when you had nothing? Don't forget who helped you. Whenever David hesitated to hand over money, those words resurfaced, part guilt trip, part ransom note. In that moment, David realized his achievements were being held hostage by someone who refused to see the man standing right in front of them. Stoic wisdom cuts clean. No man is the same man he was yesterday. If you wouldn't shackle a stranger to his worst day, why tolerate those chains yourself? Anyone who drags you back into old guilt to govern. Your present is not honoring your history. They're weaponizing it. Takeaway: you are not bound to who you used to be. Anyone brandishing your past as leverage forfeits a seat in your future. Let them cling to the old story. You're already drafting the next chapter 1 inked in growth, not guilt. Betrayal 4. Publicly humiliating you when private manipulation fails. Some siblings switch on the spotlight. This betrayal refuses to hide in shadows. It plays out center stage, camouflaged as humor or honesty. A sibling who mocks you in front of others isn't merely crossing a line, they're teaching the crowd how to disrespect you. They take something sacred, your fears, your secrets, your scars, and repurpose it as punchline fuel. Reliving an embarrassing childhood mistake at a family dinner, imitating your old heartbreak in front of a new partner. Laughing loudest when you shrink the smallest, they expect you to laugh along. To prove you're not sensitive, to keep the peace. But peace built on humiliation is counterfeit. It sounds like laughter, yet tastes like blood. Laura's story: Laura finally found someone she truly cared about. At a backyard barbecue, her younger brother boomed, "Remember how you sobbed for months after your ex dumped you?" Guests roared. Laura's cheeks burned. That vulnerable chapter, shared in confidence, had just become party entertainment. Her brother waved it off. "Relax, it's just teasing." But love doesn't collect applause by cutting you down. Love shields, not showcases your tender places. Why these betrayals devastate one? They distort identity. When the narrative, "who you were," overrides who you are, your self-confidence erodes from the inside out. To they rewrite social scripts. Public shaming signals to everyone that it's acceptable to belittle you. Respect, once cracked, seldom returns intact. 3. They stall future growth. You waste emotional fuel defending dignity instead of pursuing purpose. Stoic countermoves. Name the transgression. Truth loses its sting when spoken aloud. That story was private. Sharing it hurt. Ray, draw the boundary. Distance, temporary or permanent, isn't revenge. It's self-maintenance. Guard your peace. As Epictetus taught, remember that it is not he who insults you who injures you, but your opinion that these things are insulting. Choose views that preserve your inner calm. We've now confronted 4 betrayals, each a different mask. On the same impulse, control. 3 more remain in the shadows, and exposing them will complete your armor. Stay with me. The clarity ahead is worth every step through this darkness. Joke. It's a lesson carved in humiliation. Keep that truth close as we turn to an even quieter kind of betrayal. The bitter punchline: Laura's brother dismissed her pain with a shrug and a careless, "Lighten up, it was only a joke." But Stoic wisdom cuts through that excuse. As Epictetus reminds us, the man who laughs at your wounds does not deserve a place in your life. Public mockery is never harmless. It chips at confidence, plants seeds of shame, and trains onlookers to treat your suffering as cheap entertainment. Takeaway: anyone who turns your vulnerability into a punchline does not respect you, and where respect is absent, your obligation to smile through their presence evaporates. Forgive if it frees your spirit, but walk away if it protects your dignity. Shared blood never licenses public shaming. Family status cannot sanitize cruelty. You deserve dinner table safety, not exposure. Betrayal 5. Emotional absence when you needed them most. Some wounds are inflicted not by a knife, but by a void, an empty space where support should have stood. Few realizations hurt more than discovering a sibling's silence at the moment you were gasping for aid. Picture it. Your life unravels, one thread after another. You're not asking for miracles, just a message, a phone call, the simple lifeline of, "How are you holding up?" Yet the line never rings, the screen stays dark. Technically, your sibling did nothing wrong. They did not slander you or take from you, they simply were not there. But absence can roar louder than any insult. Jason's story, Jason lost a 15-year job, watched his relationship collapse, and slumped into depression. His sister lived a 20-minute drive away. Days became weeks, weeks folded into months, still no knock, no text, no, do you need coffee or company? When he finally clawed his way back and asked why she vanished, her reply was casual. I figured you needed space. Jason didn't need space. He needed someone who cared enough to show up. Seneca crystallized the lesson. Adversity does not build character. It reveals it. Hardship unmasks loyalty. A sibling's silence announces an unspoken verdict. Your pain does not move me. Why emotional absence hurts so deeply, one. It questions your worth. If those who know your history won't stand beside you, who will? 2. It deepens isolation. You're not only battling personal crisis, but also the added grief of abandoned trust. 3. It marks the heart. Absence leaves no bruises. Its echo lingers long after wounds with names have healed. Takeaway: you cannot force care into a hollow vessel. Proximity of blood cannot substitute for presence of heart. Love proves itself on stormy days, not sunny ones. Stop chasing emotional ghosts. Choose instead the people who show up even when it is inconvenient, because those are the companions worthy of tomorrow. Everyone else is a passerby, the quiet. Betrayal 6. Forcing you into family roles that suffocate. Sometimes betrayal hides in expectations. In silent contracts you never signed yet are still forced to honor. Perhaps you are labeled the fixer, the caretaker, the one who always says yes. The cost? A slow erosion of self until you disappear beneath duties that were never yours to shoulder. We'll unravel that weight in the next segment, because recognizing the invisible cages is the first step towards stepping out. Hold this thread: cruelty disguised as comedy and love withheld in crisis. Both reveal the same truth. Respect and presence are non-negotiable. Next, we face the roles that drain you. While everyone else applauds your reliability, stay with me. Clarity is gathering momentum. Remember where we left off. Roles that were never yours can suffocate you until you forget the sound of your own voice. Let's shine a light on that weight, because recognizing the invisible chains is half the battle. Forcing you into family roles that drain you. Maybe you're the quiet one, the strong one, the ever-ready firefighter who sacrifices sleep, money, and sanity so everyone else can breathe easier. But pause and ask, who decided this was your destiny? Did you choose the cape, or was it draped over your shoulders the day you learned to say yes faster than you said your own name? Siblings often reinforce these unspoken contracts. They expect you to answer every midnight call, spot every emergency loan, mediate every parental storm. Try stepping back just once and suddenly you're selfish, changed, unreliable. What they really mean is, you're no longer making my life easier at the cost of your own. Marcus is warning Marcus, the eldest son, spent years funding crises and soothing family feuds. When burnout finally dragged him to a halt, he confessed he needed time for his own mental health. His siblings' response: you've always been the strong one. If you don't fix this, who will? That isn't love. It's entitlement dressed in nostalgia. Daisy's awakening. Daisy's story echoes the same melody. For as long as she could remember, she was the family's silent glue, juggling 2 jobs, so her younger brother could finish college, babysitting nieces so her sister could catch a break, filling the fridge whenever mom's pension ran thin. One rainy afternoon, Daisy declined a last-minute demand to organize yet another family crisis meeting. Her brother scoffed, "Come on, Days, where's the old you?" That question struck her like thunder. The old Daisy was exhausted, knees buckling under gratitude she was never allowed to feel. The new Daisy whispered a boundary instead. I love you, but I'm not your emergency plan. Stoic teaching underlines her decision. Live in accordance with reason, not obligation. You weren't born to be a permanent life raft. You were born to be a free, rational being. Sometimes freedom disappoints expectations that were never yours to bear. Takeaway: family roles are choices, not destiny. If a role breeds exhaustion or self-neglect, you have every right to step out of it. That doesn't make you unloving it. Makes you honest. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Betrayal 7. Competing for parental favor at your expense. There. As a quieter war in some households, it isn't fought for love. It's fought for approval. A sibling hungry for the parental spotlight rarely climbs alone. They push you down to stand taller. At first, it might look like simple ambition. But patterns surface, stories subtly twisted to elevate them. Your flaws spotlighted at just the right dinner table moment. Past mistakes resurrected seconds before they unveil a sparkling new success. They brand themselves the responsible one, the loyal one, the child who deserves more attention. Jenna's mirror Jenna adored her mom. Then her older sister began dropping by with gifts and chore lists, sprinkling comments like, I worry about Jenna sometimes, or she used to be more stable. Nothing harsh, just enough to tilt the scales. Slowly, Mom's questions turned skeptical. Jenna's explanations grew defensive, and the room filled with a fog of comparison. She realized she was no longer seen for who she was, but through the lens her sister so carefully polished. Why this betrayal cuts deep one. It poisons two bonds at once. Trust with your parents erodes while resentment toward your sibling grows. Too. It distorts reality. You are measured against an idealized image of them and a caricature of you. 3. It breeds self-doubt. You begin performing for validation instead of living for truth. Stoic wisdom offers the antidote. The wise seek truth, not approval. A sibling willing to warp truth for applause isn't acting from love, but from fear of being unseen, fear of losing favorite status. And fear makes cruel bargains. Takeaway: when someone manipulates the scales, step off them. Your worth isn't a competition, and love should never require you to shrink so another can appear larger. Closing the circle roles that deplete you and competitions you never entered. Both teach the same Stoic lesson. Your peace is non-negotiable. Step out of the costume, walk off the rigged stage, and meet your life on level ground. Those who truly love you will adjust their vision. Those who cannot were never looking at you to begin with. Last time we exposed a painful truth. Love should never be a scoreboard, and any sibling who climbs by stepping on your shoulders has already chosen pride over connection. Keep that in mind as we draw a boundary. You should never have to race for your parents' affection. If a brother or sister turns you into a stepping stone for their own applause, they've made their priorities clear. You can't dictate how they present you, but you have absolute control over whether you let the act continue. Walk in truth, speak plainly, and let your own behavior, not their performance, define your worth. You don't need to be the favorite. You need to be free. Wrapping the 7 betrayals, these wounds rarely arrive with sirens blaring. They creep in quietly, yet carve the deepest scars, because when pain is delivered by a sibling, it comes tangled with memories, laughter, and years of shared history. The ache echoes long after the moment has passed. 1. Undermining you behind closed doors. 2. Sabotaging your success. 3. Weaponizing your shared past. 4. Publicly humiliating you. 5. Vanishing when you needed them most. 6. Forcing you into soul-draining roles. 7. competing for parental favor by turning others against you. These are not clumsy mistakes. They're betrayals in disguise. Some voices will urge you to forgive and forget. Yet forgiveness without boundaries is simply a permission slip for repeat offenses. Protecting your peace is not cruelty. Walking away is not bitterness. Choosing yourself at long last is not heartlessness. Stoicism doesn't preach hatred toward family. It urges crystal clear vision. Step back, drain the emotion, examine the facts. When someone harms you again and again, that isn't love, and sharing DNA does not obligate you to endure it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Whatever you allow into your life will stain the fabric of your spirit. Keep accepting betrayal, and resentment will tint every thread. Choose clarity, boundaries, and truth, and you'll re-dye your soul in freedom's palette. You didn't pick the family you were born into, but you do choose who earns a place in your life. You choose whose voices carry weight. You choose the kind of peace you intend to build. Let this moment be the line in the sand. Let it be the day you stop excusing pain simply because it wears a familiar face. Your turn. Have you felt any of these 7 betrayals? How do you navigate the fallout? What lesson carved itself into your heart? Share your story in the comments. Your honesty could be the lighthouse someone else desperately needs tonight. If this video resonated, please hit like so the algorithm knows others need it too. Subscribe to Stoic Havenway for more grounded wisdom, practical boundaries, and calm strength delivered every week to protect your peace and rebuild your power. You deserve kindness. You deserve clarity. You deserve connection that never demands your dignity. As payment. Make that your new standard, starting right now. Because peace isn't something we beg for, it's something we build. And sometimes the first brick is a firm, quiet word call on enough. See you in the next video. Stoic Havenway.